Yo, how is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down Podcast, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. I am your host, Chris Maltby, and I am joined with my co-hosts, Parth Shaw and Jaylen LeClinton today. How's it going, guys?
What's up, y'all?
What's up, guys?
We are also joined with a special guest, the editor on our website and the owner of True Time Chicago, and also a DePaul student, which doesn't resonate too well with me being a DePaul student. We've got Zach Rimbos on today. Zach, how's it going?
What's up, everybody?
So, today we are going to be running you guys through our first ever Bear Down mock draft. As we all know, the draft is in about 3 weeks, if that isn't postponed, and we assume that it's happening virtually. So we're going to be trying to get out as much draft content to you guys as we can over the next 3 weeks. And we're going to be doing a couple mock drafts with these couple people and basically getting our thoughts out on some very good prospects that the Bears can draft. So let's hop right into it. As we know, the Bears don't own any first-round picks in this year's draft. They actually start off at pick 43 in the second round. They own 2 second-round picks, but with the first one at pick 43, I've got them picking Urza Cleveland, offensive tackle. Let me give you guys a little bit of perspective on this one. Urza is a 6'6" offensive lineman with massive arms, and he can move. He's got a 4.93 40-yard dash for an offensive lineman, which is very solid, and I think that he can make the most out of all inside and outside zone blocks because of his athleticism. He can also be a swing tackle and has consistent pressure when blocking on pass plays, and he moves his feet quickly to stay in space on blocks. We all know that the Bears need offensive line help this offseason, and people want him to address it. People want the Bears to address it more. So I'm going to go with Urza Cleveland for my first pick. He played tackle at Boise State, and that's my first pick. Parth, what do you got?
I have us taking Terrell Lewis, an edge defender out of Alabama. This might be kind of shocking, especially because we got Robert Quinn this offseason, but I feel like having depth at that position is always the best, and it's better to. It's like he's an upgrade from Aaron Lynch for sure. And if anything goes wrong with Mac or Bobby Quinn during the season, this guy would definitely be a great takeover instead of Aaron Lynch, in my opinion. And he is 6'5", 258. He played for Alabama. It's a great school. We know how Alabama grades athletes in the NFL. He's known for his speed, his long strides, and his footwork, which is something is not as teachable as like other things. So he knows the intangibles and the ins and outs, and I think it would be a decent pick at 43.
Cool. Jaylen, who you got at 43?
At 43, I have Damian Lewis. He's a interior offensive lineman from LSU. He dominates in drive blocks. You know, he's a very good run blocker. I say we need an offensive lineman because with the retirement of Kyle Long, the only real other offensive guard we have on the roster is Jermaine Ifedi, which is not good. He shouldn't go into the season being the main starter. So I feel like with our second round pick, we should be drafting Damian Lewis.
All right, Zach, who you got with pick 43?
All right, at pick 43, I got KJ Hamler out of Penn State, wide receiver. I thought, honestly, he's kind of a sleeper because at this point, T. Higgins is still on the board. But with KJ Hamler, he's got a 4.27. He didn't run at the combine. He tweaked his hamstring. He's 5'9", so he could be a great deep threat. He's a deadly threat off the line. And I think with the release of Taylor Gabriel, he has a lot of potential. He's 20 years old, and I think with this deep receiving core we have with Ridley, Javon Wims, Robinson, and Miller, he could fit in well and hopefully develop into a great player.
Absolutely. So now let's head on to the second pick of the second round. And this is where things get really interesting. So I think there we had 1 edge rusher, 2 offensive linemen, and a wide receiver. Obviously, I think the most pressing need is the offensive line. So we'll see what the other guys did who didn't pick the offensive line first pick. So let's get right into it. Zach just came off an underrated wide receiver, and I've got another one for you. We've got Donovan Peoples-Jones, wide receiver out of Michigan. He's incredibly athletic, ran a 4.48 40-yard dash, had a 44.5-inch vertical jump, and 139 inches on the broad jump. So incredibly athletic. He's an all-purpose threat, and during his junior year at Michigan, he scored 13 touchdowns in only 7 games. He's also shown to be a threat as a punt returner, if that's ever something the Bears want to try out. Obviously, we have Tariq Cohen back there right now, but he's got a big frame. He uses his leverage for better route running. He's got reliable hands, which is something the Bears arguably need more than anything. And he works very well out of quick breaks at the line of scrimmage. So I'm going to go with Donovan Peoples-Jones with my 50th pick. Who you got, Parth?
I had who Jaylen took with his 43rd pick, Damian Lewis, LSU offensive lineman. I was surprised to find him at, was it pick 50, right?
Yeah, 50.
Yeah, so I was surprised to find him at pick 50, but I picked him up. Like Jaylen said, he's got the frame, he's got the size, and we have a pressing need at offensive line. The offensive line wasn't as great as last year, so we need as many as players to upgrade the offensive line, and Damian Lewis would be a great addition to the Bears.
All right, Jaylen, what do you have?
All right, so at 50, I have Trayvon Diggs. He's a cornerback from Alabama. He's the younger brother of Bills wide receiver Stephon Diggs, who was a former Vikings wide receiver. He's a converted cornerback. Coming out of high school, he was a wide receiver, just like his brother. He's great in man coverage, great in zone coverage, and can press when he needs to. At pick 50, this is definitely a good spot to find a cornerback. I actually didn't think he was going to be here, so I was kind of surprised when he was. So I instantly had to, draft him. We kind of do have a pressing need at cornerback. We don't know who's going to be cornerback number 2 with the release of Prince Mukamara. It's going to be a couple guys definitely competing for that spot, like Troy Robertson, Kevin Tolliver, and if we draft Trayvon Diggs, he would definitely would be a part of that competition. So, yeah.
Zach, who you got?
All right, at pick 50, I've got Cole Kmet, tight end out of Notre Dame.
Interesting.
Honestly, I was a little surprised to see him still here. Honestly, I think he has a lot of potential. He's very athletic. He played baseball and football at Notre Dame. He's got a really smooth release off the line. When he catches balls, he takes hits very well. He's a good size. He's 6'4", 235 pounds. And while I didn't pick an offensive lineman, I still think that tight end is such a pressing need for our offensive scheme. And we do have Jimmy Graham and Burton, but I still believe that we need a tight end to be able to develop for the future. And I think Cole Kmet showed interest in the Bears as well, and I love that pick.
Absolutely. All right, so as we all know, the Bears ended up giving away their 4th-round compensatory pick that was 140th overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars in exchange for Nick Foles. So we do not have that pick anymore. So the next pick we're going to jump to is actually the 18th pick in the 5th round, 163rd overall. I had Julian Blackmon, not to be confused with Justin Blackmon, the former NFL wide receiver. But I've got Julian Blackmon with this pick. He's a safety, and he's got a 6.24 prospect grade on NFL.com. And for someone available in the 5th round, that's not something that you would commonly see. That's the grade for someone that possibly could be a backup to starter. So he's incredibly versatile. He plays many different positions. He's played nickel corner, strong safety, and free safety. And due to his field recognition and combination of size and speed, he had 9 interceptions in 3 years. Can play through blocks in space, wipe out running backs in the middle of the field in the box. He's an aggressive hitter, and he can do basically everything we need to. And I think he could pair well with Eddie Jackson if we decide to go for other needs in the 2nd round. Parth, who do you got at pick 163?
I am taking safety Antoine Brooks Jr. from Maryland. He's like, his pro comparison is Adrian Amos, so he's a physical tone-setting defender in the box type of safety, exactly what we need to pair up with Eddie Jackson. He is known to be a liability in coverage, but I mean, we can probably develop that with Deion Bush and who else did we get this year from the Chiefs? I forgot his name. But
Jordan Lucas.
Jordan Lewis. So we can develop Antoine Brooks through that system, and he has a prospect grade of 6, which is hard to find in the 4th round. That's something that you can't pass up on, and he was a former quarterback, so just some pluses there, here and there, which I like this pick actually.
Jaylen, who you got at pick number 163?
At 163, I have tight end Josiah Ducora from Cincinnati. Now, when I was first doing this mock draft and I saw his name, because at that time he was the best available player, I didn't really know who he was. So after I looked him up, he's really a project type of player. He's a 5th-year senior. He was a great blocker and a great receiver in college, and he's here to come here and be a development type piece. We had big problems at tight end during this year, with Trey Burton being hurt and not getting much production from that system. So with a need being at tight end and him being the best player available on the board, I feel like why not take him?
I mean, I feel like it can't get much worse than Adam Shaheen as far as the developmental tight end goes. Zach, who do you have in the 5th round at 163?
Yeah, so I'm actually with you. I got Julian Blackmon out of Utah. Pretty much everything you said. I mean, I think he's got a high potential. He's a great tackler. He's got great speed. He played cornerback at one point in his career. He's got a good feel for man coverage. And you see in this draft with such a deep wide receiver core that you'll see players that with this talent drop so low. I think this would be a great pickup, something that we need for a backup position at safety.
Absolutely. Next, I've got Justin Stranad, and that, I think, is round 6. Yes, round 6, pick 17, 196 overall, so that's 196. I've got Justin Stranad, and it sounds like I'm pronouncing that weird because it looks weird on paper, but linebacker from Wake Forest. So to give you a little bit about him, he's very comfortable in zone coverage, has the ability to cover athletic tight ends in the seam. Similar to Roquan Smith, he's a really good sideline-to-sideline linebacker. He has experience on special teams and has made some really big plays in times of really big need for the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. So I'm going to pick him there. I think we need someone that could fill the gap maybe left by Kevin Pierre-Louis and Nick Kwiatkowski. We want to start developing those linebackers as quickly as possible, as we only have Barcavius Mingo on a 1-year deal. So I think a linebacker later down the road is something that could really help us out. Parth, who do you have at pick 196?
I have us taking Tyree Phillips, offensive lineman from Mississippi State. He played tackle in college, but one of his weaknesses, it says that he has subpar foot speed, but he is once again a big offensive lineman, something that you cannot just give a player, I guess. So he's not as athletic as the other offensive linemen, but I think he can turn into a good developmental player and has some starter qualities that could be worth taking a hit on.
Jaylen, who do you got at 196?
At 196, I have wide receiver Tyree Cleveland from Florida. He's a 6'3" receiver. Now one of his abilities is he's a very good deep threat. The wide receiver position is looking to change after we kept Prince Amukamara as a cap casualty, which was our deep threat during this season.
Taylor Gabriel. You said Prince. Taylor Gabriel was the deep threat. Yeah.
So with Tyree, we're just basically getting a better, bigger Taylor Gabriel. Taylor Gabriel was 5'8". Tyree Cleveland is 6'3", and plus he ran a sub 4.4 at the combine. So why not draft him? This is a late pick. He can come here. Who knows what he can do with that type of size and speed? He could definitely be a key rotational wide receiver down the line, if not in his rookie season.
Yep. Zach, who do you got with this first of 2 6th-round picks?
All right, at pick 196, I got Trey Adams, offensive tackle out of Washington. There's not much to report on him besides he's great size, 6'8", 314 pounds. He's got good lateral ability, and he's got good run blocking. The only con with him is that he faced a lot of injuries in his career, so that might be something to look at, but I still think it's a decent pickup. He's got a high rating, and I think that's definitely, since I didn't pick a lineman earlier in the draft, it's a position that we need to fill. So,
absolutely. So, next we've got one more pick in the 6th round. That's actually 4 picks later at pick number 200. I'm going to go with Naveal Clark, cornerback out of UCF, Central Florida. I think he would have a good chance to make the roster. This one isn't a guarantee, but he's pretty athletic with a 126-inch broad jump and a 35-inch vertical. He uses his very long arms to swat the ball and has quick footwork that can disrupt some routes early on. If he can improve his technique and transitions in zone coverage, he can be solid, but he needs to improve at the breaking point of the ball and against underneath routes like slants and stuff like that. So I'm going to go with Naveal Clark out of UCF, cornerback, for my 200th pick. Parth, who do you got at pick number 200?
I have us taking cornerback Josiah Scott from Michigan State. He is gifted athlete. He's got smooth hips, quick feet, explosive speed. The only problem with him is he is 5'10", We do have a lot of short cornerbacks, so the size is a little question mark. But I mean, he could compete with Duke Shelley, Kevin Tolliver, the guy we picked up from the CFL, to compete for cornerback too, and maybe replace Buster Screen down the road. So it's just another
Absolutely. Jaylen,
cornerback.
who do you have at pick number 200?
So at pick 200, I have Shaheem Carter. I think that's how you pronounce his safety from Alabama. Just like Eddie Jackson out of Alabama, he's a former cornerback turned safety after he got hurt in his freshman year. He's not a very dynamic player, but he on the field he knows he knows his job. He knows he's supposed to play his zone, and if any ball comes his way, make sure it's not in the receiver's hands. Once again, this is another developmental project type piece. He's not going to come in here and be the safety right away. He's going to come in here, learn behind Jordan Lucas, maybe even compete for that strong safety position. But in the 6th round, I'm taking Shaheem Carter.
Who do you have at 200, Zach?
At 200, I got Jared Hilbers. He's a lineman out of Washington. He's got great size. He's 6'7", 309 pounds. I think that since obviously it's a pressing need with the line, I hope our linesman coach can put these two. I drafted Trey Adams, Jared Hilbers, put these two into the right position and hopefully develop them into being a good backup, if anything, or potentially starting in the future for a line that we need.
Absolutely. I would like to say one thing before we continue. These maybe even 5th round, but definitely the 6th round and 7th round picks are all probably going to be players that are developmental and are going to work hard to make the roster, but that may not even happen. But next, we've got 2 7th round picks. We're in the last round of the NFL draft now. Pick 226 and pick 233. With 226, I've got a player I'm actually really excited about. I've got Steven Montez, quarterback out of Colorado. He's someone who could sit behind Foles and Mitch for a few years and may be ready down the road. He ran a 4.68 40-yard dash at the draft and has some pretty solid mobility outside the pocket. He has a thick frame, not to be taken jokingly. It helps him evade pass rushers, and he has a quick release with decent accuracy on throws. He's got really good awareness, something that I think Mitch lacks, and has shown flashes of some very good arm talent. He can make throws at every level of the field. He needs to learn a little bit better technique, learn to square his shoulders a bit more, and if he can learn to process some coverages, I think he could be legit down the road. So with pick 226, I'm going to go with quarterback Steven Montez out of Colorado. Parth, who do you have at 226?
I'm going to just go here since Parth's not talking right now. At pick 226, I'm taking David Reese, linebacker from Florida. He's a high IQ type linebacker. He led his defense when he was there in Florida. Like this said, he's not a starter type player. Just for depth, we lost 2 linebackers in this free agency with Kevin Pierre-Louis and Nick Kwiatkowski. We lost them both due to free agency. So we definitely need a linebacker for a depth position.
Yeah, and it looks like Parth's mic is muted. So Zach, who do you have at 226?
At 226, I got Tipa Nali. I believe that's how you pronounce it. He's an edge at Utah State. He's got good release, good extension skills. He does some good moves to get around a block. The only problem is sometimes he leads with his head on tackles. But I believe his extension skills will help him. I think he could be a decent tackler. And I, again, like that edge position, as Parth was saying earlier, it'd be nice to have somebody that could develop and sit behind Robert Quinn and Mack and start to learn and develop into that player.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really good opportunity for whoever it may end up being as an edge, whether we draft one this year, next year, 2022. Because I feel like learning behind Mac has to be so valuable. So,
yeah.
Parth, I see you're back in the call now. Who do you have at 226?
I do not know how to pronounce his name. I think it's Kiava Tizino out of San Diego State. Yes, San Diego State. He is 6 foot 235. He's a senior. I guess he's from a decently small school, but he racked up some awards there, some captain awards, defensive player of the awards, and I feel like just having a good leader on the team at that low of a stage would be kind of nice to grab, especially with losing a couple linebackers this offseason, just adding some depth and competing with Iggy and Josh Woods, someone just to compete for that linebacker 3 spot would be kind of nice to have.
Absolutely. So let's head into our last pick here. 233. I've got Darrell Williams. He's an offensive lineman, and I think he's from Mississippi State. He plays with determination. He was a 3-year starter and a team captain. So similar to what Parth just said, he is someone who can lead at the rookie level, even if he doesn't come in as the best pick. He could come in and show some leadership. He's a 3-year starter and team captain. He's flexible, can play both guard and center, and I think that's really good. I think we lack versatility up front, and he has a good release at the point of attack. He has very good upper body power and can read the blitz very well, which is good for calling out when the defense is calling audibles or maybe just running a blitz in general. He needs to improve the initial pop on run blocks, and he also needs to be better from snap to snap, but could be very solid down the road after learning behind guys like James Daniels, Cody Whitehair, and who knows, maybe Kyle Long will be on the staff one day. So learning behind those guys is going to be big for him. Parth, who do you have with the last pick in this 2020 Bears mock draft?
I have us taking Cody White, wide receiver out of Michigan State. He was a senior year there. He had 66 catches for 922 yards and 6 touchdowns last year. And we all know that Michigan State did not have great quarterbacks the last couple of years, and he still produced. He has a good size, and he has good upside, and it would just be nice to have a backup wide receiver just sitting behind Robinson, Miller, Ridley, and Wims. So just another decent pickup.
Absolutely. Jaylen, who do you got with the last pick in this draft?
With the last pick, I have Quadir Shepard out of Ole Miss. Now, he's a very interesting player. In his senior year, he had 48 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, and 1.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. He played at outside linebacker this year, starting all 12 games before playing with the club on his surgically repaired broken left hand to start the year. Now, he's potentially fell all the way to the 7th round because of his off-the-field issues. He was suspended for violating the team drug policy. He was actually dismissed from the program in 2016 for violating the team policy again, and he sat out the whole 2016 after he transferred to Ole Miss. He originally signed with Syracuse and was also suspended in his freshman year for violating team policy. So I feel like this could be, if he can keep his act right, that he could definitely be a great rotational piece on the defensive line for 7.
Yeah. Zach, who do you have with the last pick of this draft?
All right, last pick, kind of questionable because some people are wondering if we're even going to take a quarterback in this draft or maybe wait until next year. I got Khalil Tate, quarterback out of Arizona. He's got good arm talent. He's quick, mobile, and athletic, and I think he's just physically gifted. He's 6'2". I think that him sitting behind Foles and Trubisky for a year would be a great development for him. And I think that the way that he is, the arm talent, and he's quick and mobile, I think that'd be a great pick at quarterback.
Absolutely. Well, that'll pretty much do it for this one, guys. Thank you guys for tuning into our first ever mock draft. We're definitely going to do more of these in the future, get out the word on as many prospects as possible. And yeah, that'll pretty much do it. But we've had some special guests on the podcast recently. I just want you to know that there's going to be more coming soon. And there's a lot for you guys to be excited about. That Adam Ryan podcast is doing great. I'm not sure when you guys are going to see this one, but that one's definitely doing well. So that'll pretty much do it for this one. You can find the links to all of our socials down in the description. We also just made brand new Twitter pages, and those are going to be in our bio at beardown.com. And you can also follow all of our fan pages on Instagram. Those are in the bio as well. And Zach's is at True Time Chicago. He also does all the editing for us, so we appreciate everything he does behind the scenes. Once again, if you guys would like more content, please check out the website, beardown.com. And you can also follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at beardown. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Zach and Jaylen, you guys got any last words?
Bear down.
Bear down, that sums it up perfectly.
And as I always put it at the end, make sure to bear down, Chicago. Peace.
Peace.